Camaradas.
Dear comrades, when I was a little boy, I was still a revolutionary young person, and I asked what was the meaning of the word comrade, and I was told that it is something more than just a friend, and so, my dear, more than just friends, comrades, because I know that this in Portugal, this word comrade is a dear word to all of you. Comrade means to share. And we wanted and we would like to share a new world. We would like to share a better world, a fairer world, a world with a human face. And today we want to share something else. We want to share the idea that we want to win the troika, because we have to win the troika. So my proximity to the bloc is made through people and to persons. First of all, I met them in the meetings of the European left parties. It was then that I met Marisa. I met Miguel Portas, who unfortunately left too early. I met Luis, the president of the parliamentary group, and I would like to advise you to pay very close attention to his last speech. And I have finally met Francisco, who is telling me that in just a few hours he will no longer be the general secretary, and that he will leave. He will live relaxed, peace in mind, because anyway he will go on sharing his knowledge and his commitment in favor of the cause of the left. And therefore, I would like to thank you very dearly to the invitation you have addressed to me to be here in this Congress and to bring with you the fraternal greet from our friends in Spain. And the first question that we ask ourselves in many countries, in these countries that are called the pigs. You know what pigs stand for? Means pigs, the animal pig. And they call us the pigs of Southern Europe. But we are not pigs. We are simply countries inhabited by human beings who suffer, live, and dream, and who have so much right to dream and to live just like other countries in the northern part of Europe. The question is, why is it that when we are so sure of what we want, why do they say that we have to live even more? Does this make any sense? Is there any logical explanation for this? We think that this comes from very far away, that this comes from the Washington Council quite a few years ago. It comes from the Maastricht Council. It comes from the Lisbon Treaty. And this is from where these logotypes come from, because then they claim that a European Union had to be built, but this union was not the one that the people needed, because this union would bring the people even weaker, just like Bush advisor said, that people should have to be made so weak that we should be able to drag them along and drown them in a bath tube. And this is an idea around which Europe would have to be built, and that a market economy would be able to solve everything, and that the labor relations would have to be made flexible, and that we would have regressive fiscal policy, which means that labor income should have to be subject to more taxes, and that by privatizing the private sector and by converting the rights that we have conquered after so many years, these rights should have been converted into business. These were the guidelines of the proposals or the design they had made to this Europe. And what are they doing now? What do they want to do from our countries? They are stealing away the rights we have conquered, and we have had to fight to conquer these rights, and we have fought hard, and today they want to steal it away from us. We have the welfare state. They want to steal the democracy. They attack the trade unions, who are the backbone of the defense of the laborers. The financial capital is not being able to save their profit, because the crisis is a crisis which has been voiced by the people in the streets. And before the global attack by the capitalist system, it requires a global defense. And this global defense has to be made by the social left, the trade union left, the political left. And this is what we are going to do. This is what we will continue to do. The European elections or actions of the 14th of November, these days should indeed try to fight those, the entrepreneurs, and also those who will be gathered like entrepreneurs, and they will defeat us, because what we will do is the picket time that will help us fight during this day. And Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greece, and more countries will be mobilized, and we will fight our general strike. And in Spain, we claim that we have to stop because they want to put an end to everything. 2010 in Spain, we have conducted a number of general strikes, 2 general strikes. One of them was to fight against the socialist policies, and another one against the right-wing government. And this because during the 11 months they are in power, their measures are subdued to the interests of the troika. The policies of cuts that they are being implemented in our countries are an absolute failure, and they know, and even the International Monetary Fund knows that this is true. In Spain, we will stop. 1 out of 4 persons will adhere to the strike. 53% of them are young ones. We have more poverty than ever. 28% of the people are below the threshold of poverty. And it is people from 16 to 71 or to 74 years are touched by this unemployment. More than 300,000 companies have been closed down. Countless numbers of families are leaving their homes. Families have left their homes ever since the crisis have started because they have committed the serious crime of having lost their jobs and therefore not being able to pay the mortgages the banks have given them. And I have been told that here in Portugal, you are also faced with a familiar situation. In less quantity, nevertheless, it's very similar to what we are living in Spain. Today, a 53-year-old woman committed suicide, and last week, a man, 53 years old, has also committed suicide when he had to give the keys of his house to the government, because we are being victims of the financial exploitation of a bank which has no heart. And the rich ones are jeopardizing us more than ever. And the great capital and the major fortunes are now paying less taxes in the whole of the historical history of democracy in Spain. And for the year 2013, we expect that we will have even more unemployed, that we will have even more recession, and that our deficit will be very high and uncontrollable, and that our public debt will be around 100% of our GDP. In other words, they are telling us, the European Union is telling us, that the cut policies and the austerity policies are an absolute failure. Then why are they insisting with the same policies of cuts and austerity if it is a true failure? They have imposed labor reform. And this has been the toughest of the whole democratic times. And this is to withdraw power from the trade unions. This labor reform is also to be able to sack the workers. And their purpose is to reduce salaries. And today in Spain, 3 workers who work, one out of these 3 earns less than the minimum wage. And here in Spain, the salary is 641 euros, whereas in Portugal, it doesn't even touch this threshold. It's 500 or so. And the troika should be held responsible for this. And in the last year, more than 800,000 jobs were destroyed in Spain. And some of us think that one of the reasons for this is because they don't want to create jobs, because they want to use these workers who are unemployed in order to lower the salaries, because the reason why they want to do is to decrease the salaries by 20 to 30% is so they can be able to compete with the countries of the European Union. And this is their major goal. They are fulfilling the manual whereby the European Union was designed. And we say that we are living a dictatorship, the dictatorship of the financial power. And the troika has brought to our country one thing which is a menace to our constitution, which was untouchable. They have managed to, together with the Socialist Party and the right-wing parties, have managed to modify the constitution, and they want to first pay the interests to the banks rather than to assign money to the benefit of the social policies. And every time you touch a constitution of the country, this is a very important moment, and they should have consulted the Spanish people before they even touched the constitution. We know the debt has to be paid, but first we have to know which part of this debt is legitimate.
All measures which are being adopted are measures to save the banking sector. We have a first bailout to the banks, but with the guarantee of the state and the guarantee of all citizens. And then we have a second bailout that is being negotiated right now. And you know what the bailout means. It means that they cut away with the social rights, that they cut away with the quality of life of the citizens to pay the great festivities and the scandals that the banking sector has organized, and the benefits of the major financial speculators. We have a guest in our parliament. We have a plenary session. It is the day to approve the budgets, and just like in Greece, they scheduled that for the day of the general strike to approve. Of the general strike, the day of the general strike, to approve the budget. I will end up learning Portuguese. So the plenary session to approve the budget, we will be in it. We're MPs. We're 11, but we're also in the general strike. We're on the street with the workers, and we always want to be with them. And we are the ambassadors of the workers, men and women. But what we will be approved in the Parliament of Spain is not what the popular sovereignty of the Spanish people want, is what will be approved is what the Troika wants, because the budget of 2013 and 2014 are already counting with the winning of the Troika, because they have agreed with a policy of austerity and cuts. They will, that's what they will approve in the Spanish Parliament on the 14th. So we will have a new tragedy of cuts of revenues to benefit capitals, because this is what is being produced in the countries of the European Union. I'm running out of time. I just want to say that something very old is dying, and the new, that which is coming, still is not born. Because the social democracy has bent to the proposals of Troika and of capitalism. So there's no distinctive alternative. The model of the EU has failed. So we have to forge a new alternative, and that is not an easy task, but it is urgent. And we set the beat of time because we are creating history. We believe that we are progressing with these alternatives. We are growing humbly. Yeah, we get 12% of the vote in Spanish, and 4 years ago we were about 3%. And here the same thing. You have more popular support. That means that people are demanding an answer. People want to have hope, and we have to have the courage to use this very important time, because to destroy Troika, we have to socially and politically use all our strength to fight any power that wants to implement a capitalistic system. And I want this global attack. The defense has to be global. We want a very different EU. We want a Central European Bank that will be our bank. We don't want a bank that is giving money to banks at 0.75 so that the countries buy that debt at 4 or 5%, and the countries that have the needs of the countries. Why does not the European Central Bank sell directly to the countries to do away once and for all with speculation? Because they're an instrument at the service of the speculation of the banks, not at the service of the citizens and of the people. We have to forge this European fiscal alternative. We have to work for a plan for social development, more budget to create greater cohesion at European level, to change the methods of the European Central Bank, tax for financial transactions, to do away with tax havens, to organize the national alternative and also the European alternative. This is the path to progress, to create a dynamic at social, political, and social level, to fight against Troika, to have more power to the citizens, because that's the only way that we can defeat the policies of Troika. I conclude, dear comrades, asking you, what time is this that we are living in which defending a democracy has become a revolutionary attitude? Wish you the best and Godspeed.